Hi folks, this is Kelly from Wild Talks and Nature Walks coming at you again. And today I thought I would talk a little bit about setting up a wildlife camera. Now I've already got some cameras out on my property, but I'm getting ready to deploy a third one today. And I thought I would give you a little bit about the how-tos and the wherefores and what I use and why I put it out and where I put it out, and a little bit about getting videos. So I know some of you out there who are watching are going to think, you know, I live in the suburbs, I've got a tiny little lawn, a little bitty backyard. Is it even worth me going to the trouble of getting a camera and putting it out? And my answer to that is yes, unequivocally yes. It doesn't matter if you have a postage stamp sized backyard or you own over 100 acres of land. Putting out a wildlife camera is a great way to see what's out there. That's why I do it. And in fact, in a suburban backyard, you might be surprised at what shows up there when you're not out, especially at night. In more urban areas, there's obviously a lot more people, there's a lot less green space, and so quite a number of wildlife species have become very adept at living in close quarters to people and exploiting any tiny little bit of green space they can find. And that could be a park in your neighborhood, or it could be your backyard. So I do suggest get a camera, put it up, and see what's out there. Will you get some videos of dogs and cats going through your yard at night? Yeah, you probably will. But you might get some images of some wildlife that will absolutely astound you. So it's always worth checking to see what's out there. Now, a big question that I get asked by a lot of people is, what camera do I use? Obviously, the models have changed over the years since I first started doing it about 8 or 9 years ago. And cameras nowadays are really good. There's even some cameras out there that you can link up to your mobile phone, and they will let you check the video live in real time. I haven't tried that yet myself, but that may be something that I do down the road. For the past couple of years, the camera that I've been using is the Bushnell Core DS. Now, before I tell you a little bit more about that, I'm going to let you know I'm not getting any sponsorship dollars from Bushnell. The reason I'm telling you I use this camera is because I do, and the reason I use it is because I like it. It's easy to use, it's easy to set up, and it takes some really good high quality video, especially low light level night video. And that's what I really want to get on this property. I see some pretty cool things during the day, but when it's nighttime, that's when the forest comes alive, literally. It's got a clasp on the side that opens up, and this front panel just pops off right like that. Now, all of your controls to set it up are right inside that front panel, as are the on-off switches and an ejector switch for the battery pack, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I am not going to take you through step by step on how to set this camera up. One, because that's going to be very boring for you, but two, it's best done by reading the manual. Now, like me, there's probably some people out there that think, you know what, to heck with the manual, I'm going to figure it out on my own. And yes, you can do that. You will get there eventually, but trust me, reading the manual means you're going to set this up a lot faster, get it out in the field a lot faster, and start taking videos a lot faster. Read your manual. Read it. You'll be glad you did. Now, on the inside panel here, you see there's a little screen. So the on-off button is right here, and between on and off, there's a little spot in the middle called standby. When you flip the switch after you've got your batteries in, that little screen will come on, and it is basically a little video screen. It lets you see real time what the camera is seeing, so you can get your positioning right, whatever height you want, and adjust it accordingly before you actually start shooting video. This particular camera takes a standard SD card right here. See if I can get this in there and let you see it. This one's a 32 gig memory, which is what I use, and I found it works very well. You'll notice this is number 6. I have 8 of these cards, and I rotate them through my cameras. These work very well, and I love this. It's got a little slot that says SD card, again, for people like me that don't read the manual, and the card just slips in the side right like that, and you just push it in, and you're ready to go. The other thing I like about the Core SD is because it takes 6 AA batteries, and they go in a little slot right there at the base of the camera. You load it up on the tray, and you'll notice I'm using Energizer lithium AA's. Again, not getting any dollars from Energizer for this, but as the commercial says, they keep going and going and going and going. I have put one of my cameras on this property out, and after a month, these lithium batteries are still going strong and still taking great video. So I recommend them. They are long lasting and they work. Once you get them in the tray just fits in the slot like that. Boom, and you're good to go. Close that front panel. Make sure the camera is off, not even on standby. You don't want it wasting battery power while you're going out into the field to deploy it. Flip that latch, and the camera is ready to be put out. Now, something else that I do, you'll notice across the back here, there's 2 little slots on either side of the back of this camera, right here and right here. The camera comes with a nylon strap with a little clip lock on it. It doesn't really lock, but it cinches the strap down and holds it in place. I do use that when I deploy my camera. I use it to set it up first on a tree or a post, wherever I'm going to put it, and hold it in place while I do my final maneuvering with the camera on standby to get that picture that I want to shoot just right. But on top of that, for an added layer of security, I use a really cool thing that I found, which is a Python cable lock from the Master Lock Company. Again, not getting any sponsorship dollars. I use this because it works. And the Core DS, right on top of those little hooks, has got 2 holes that the cable for this Master cable lock fits right through perfectly. And the end of the cable lock threads through the head and locks in place. And you can cinch it down to accommodate whatever size tree or post you find. The only downside to this is it does work with a set of keys. So 1, make sure you put those keys where you're going to find them. These, as soon as I deploy this newest one today, are going to get put on my key ring where my house and farm keys are, so I have them with me all the time, and I can always keep track of them. That is something I strongly suggest you do. So, we've got our cable lock on our camera. Our camera is all batteried up and ready to go. We've got a memory card in here, and we're ready to deploy it. So, what do you say we get out in the field and do that? Come along with me and we'll find a good place to put it. Catch you in a few. One thing to take into consideration when you deploy this camera, I'm facing the camera right now, so I am on this side of it, basically in the direction that it's shooting. When you are facing the camera, put that Python cable lock on it so that the head of that cable lock threads through from the side that's on your right when you're facing the camera. Thread it through so that the excess cable comes out the left side as you're facing the camera and goes around whatever you strap it to. In this case, I've got it attached to a tree. I've got it locked loosely in place, and you can see here there's an arrow, so that extra cable feeds through this way, and that extra cable comes out the other side. And that head has to be on the right-hand side of the camera as you're facing it and thread through the left. Otherwise, it will not work properly and lock in place easily. So definitely take that into consideration. Where I'm going to be shooting is actually down a hill. Everybody's going to get motion sickness as I go around here. And I want to get across this little gully here to the hill on the opposite side, and see if I can catch some interesting wildlife coming down that natural corridor area into what is a little seasonal creek bed down here. There's a tiny little bit of water in it right now, but in the summertime it doesn't have that much. But it's still a natural travel corridor for wildlife. So one thing to take into consideration when placing your camera is make sure that you put it at a height that will allow you to shoot out over an area. Now, normally, if I were placing this on a tree to catch wildlife close to it, I would put it closer down to the ground, almost against the edge of the ground. I want this up a little bit higher so that it will shoot out over and film across the gully when something walks by. I've never put a camera here before. I don't know if this will work, but you know, that is kind of the fun part of deploying wildlife cameras, is picking a spot, setting it up as best you can, and finding out what happens. I often have a lot of people ask me, you know, you're a naturalist, you stand out in the woods, and yet you wear a red shirt a lot of times. Well, especially on days when I'm deploying my wildlife camera, that red shirt comes in handy because I can see it in that viewfinder camera when I'm on standby very easily, even when I'm a distance away from it. So I can see right now my camera's a little cattywamped sideways, so I'm going to straighten that up just a little bit. And now I'm going to walk very carefully down the hill and make sure I'm still in frame and it is shooting at the level that I want it to. So I'm going to turn and look this way so I don't fall down the hill and kill myself, because that would be, well, it might get me a lot more views on YouTube, but it won't be too beneficial for my business because I won't be around. So definitely be very careful when you deploy your cameras. All right, I'm going to turn around and see what it looks like. I think I'm going to try it. All right, very good. So, I am willing to try that to see what kind of shot I get. Now I'm going to walk just past where I am, back up towards the camera, and I'm going to turn around and look at what the camera's looking at, because this is how I decide where to put it. Not only do you need to make sure you're shooting in the right direction, but you want to make sure that you have a clear field of vision for your camera. And right now, my camera lane is right between these two trees, which is about bang on that seasonal creek bed where I want to try to get something. So this may be a bust, but that's the other thing about doing wildlife videos. To crib Forrest Gump, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And the same thing is very true for wildlife camera placement as well. Now, this is just something I prefer to do. Once I get that locked cinch down as tight as it will go, the excess cable I wrap around behind the tree and thread it through here just to keep it up off the ground. If it rains, it doesn't get all muddy and dirty, and it keeps it in a pinch. If an animal walks by it and it's loose, there's a possibility that that excess cable could get flopped over in front of the video field and obstruct your filming. So it looks like I've got this in a great place. I am going to go ahead and flip this to on. When you do that, that screen will go black and you'll see that red sensor. That means it's working. So I'm going to put that lock in place and it is good to go. All right, so the camera's set up and ready to go. It's taking live video even as we speak. We'll get what we get, but that's a big part of why I enjoy putting out wildlife cameras, is literally you never know what you're going to get. It is a mixed bag. Just like taking still photos with your camera, you can take 100, 200, 300 or more shots to get one shot that's pretty good, or maybe 400 or 500 or 600 shots to get one that is just pure gold. I've been doing this, like I said, for 8 or 9 years now, and I have gotten hundreds of hours of grass waving in the breeze or leaves and sunlight in the wind, and occasionally gotten some really good stuff. I've also gotten, like this last time I just checked my SD card on one camera, I got 4 hours of the same deer mouse running down the same stick in front of the camera almost every hour on the half hour. I could just about set my watch by him that entire night. And yes, it was no I him. I could see his back end. But anyway, so you never know what you're going to get. We could get something really spectacular. We could get something mediocre. We could just get leaves and grass waving in the wind. But the thing to do at this point now is to leave it. The temptation is there to go back in 24 or 48 or 72 hours and check what's on the camera. Leave it. If you can avoid temptation for at least 7 days, that's great. I myself like to leave mine out for a week and a half to 2 weeks, sometimes 3, and just see what you get. Your scent is going to be fairly fresh on that camera when you put it out. Now, if you put it in a suburban backyard, it's not going to make that much difference to the wildlife because they're used to smelling people all around them. In the acreage that I have, the wildlife are very wild out here. It's not like city wildlife. So they can be very skittish, or in the cases of animals like raccoons, very inquisitive about human scent. And you may get a video of a nose right in the middle of your camera sniffing and snorting, trying to check out what that scent is, which is way too close to identify anything. But it's still worth doing, absolutely. So I will leave that camera now for at least a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before I check it. And you will be along that trip with me when I go back and pull that camera footage and see what we've gotten. So I'm going to put up in the next few days some clips that I've already been able to take out here. Some are kind of cool. Again, like the mouse, some are, yeah, kind of repetitive, but it's kind of worth seeing what's out there. So look for those. Again, like the videos if you do. If you enjoy what you're seeing, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to hit that bell button for alerts when I put new content out. And I'm trying to get that out as much as I can and as soon as I can. But thanks for coming along with me while I deployed my wildlife camera today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.